The knock on my father's old cabin door wasn't friendly, and it sure as hell wasn't neighborly because, see, I didn't have any neighbors, not for miles. This one was sharp, quick, the kind of knock that comes with a badge or a grudge. I glanced through the side window and saw two men in dark tactical uniforms, boots planted like they owned the very dirt under their feet. Right then, I knew something was off. Open Up, the taller one, barked his fist, rattling the door like he was serving a warrant. Security from Serenity Peak Estates, you're in violation, security out. Now, my family's cabin sits on 40 acres of O'Connell land, all pine and creek and sky, way outside the city limits, a good hour from the nearest gas station. No streetlights, no neighbors, just trees, the whitetails that wandered through at dusk, and the memory of an old man who built this place with his bare hands. I cracked the door just enough to see both their faces and ask, "Can I help you?" The taller one jerked his thumb toward the creek. "You can start by explaining the unauthorized construction on this property. You need to vacate." That's when I gave him the tired, half-crazy smile of a man with nothing left to lose. I stepped outside, let my jacket fall open, and made sure the gold-embossed star on my belt caught the morning sun. "The real one," I said, voice steady. "I'm Sheriff Liam O'Connell, Stone Creek County. And you're not real security." The blood drained from his face. His partner's hand froze on his own sidearm. "Stay right there," I said, letting the old sheriff's voice drop low and commanding, the kind that makes grown men freeze. But these guys didn't panic, didn't bolt. They just exchanged a silent nod, turned in unison, and walked, really walked, like they'd done this drill before, back to their unmarked SUV. Like soldiers pulling out, not thugs running scared. That's when I realized this was bigger than a busted dock or some HOA power trip. Someone had sent these guys, and they'd just figured out they picked a fight with the wrong man. But that calm, disciplined retreat, that's what put the chill in my spine. These weren't amateurs. This was just the beginning. Let me back up a sec, because how I ended up staring down private security at my own front door is a wild ride on its own. 4 months earlier, I'd buried my father after a long losing battle. That's when Stone Creek County, the badge, the politics, the tragedy got too heavy to carry. So I started spending weekends up here where birdsong greeted you at sunrise and the only glow at night was a fire in the hearth. My dad always said he bought this land to get away from the world, and for a while it worked. Everything changed when I started fixing up Dad's old fishing dock. It was falling apart, and I figured patching it up was the least I could do to honor him. The day after I replaced the first few planks, I found a laminated, professionally printed note tacked to a tree, Serenity Peak Estates notice. "You are not authorized to build structures. Cease immediately or face consequences." No signature, just bold black ink. I actually laughed out loud. There's no HOA out here, that's why my father bought this land. I crumpled the thing and tossed it in the fire. A week later, yellow tape hardware store junk was wrapped around the half-finished dock with "Community Enforcement Do Not Enter" scrawled in Sharpie. At that point, it wasn't just annoying, it was harassment. I almost drove down the hill to flash my badge and settle things the Stone Creek way, but this was supposed to be my sanctuary, not another beat to patrol. So I ripped the tape down and kept working. Next, an official-looking environmental complaint landed on my office desk, filed anonymously, claiming my dock repair was causing soil erosion. Total nonsense, but it came through all the right channels. That meant I had to send my own county inspector out to my own property to investigate myself. It was a move designed to mess with my head, using my own system against me. That night, I sat on my porch with a shotgun across my lap, not scared, just sure something bigger was coming. Sure enough, a week later, that knock at the door proved me right. After those security guys left their black SUV disappearing in a dust cloud, I stood on the porch a long time, feeling that cold certainty settle in. This wasn't about a fishing dock anymore. This was about my land, and whoever was behind this didn't make mistakes often. My first instinct wasn't anger, it was procedure. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to Jenna's number. She's my deputy, but more than that, she's the sharpest tech mind in the county. "Jenna," I said when she picked up, "I need you to dig into something for me, real quiet." I told her about the two men, their tactical gear, the unmarked SUV, and a name, Aegis Strategic Solutions. "Sounds like one of those private military outfits," she said, already tapping away at her keyboard. "See who's paying their bills," I said. I want names. An hour later, Jenna called back. Liam, this is deep, she said. The SUV's registered to a shell corporation in Delaware owned by another one in Wyoming, dead end. But Aegis on paper is a high-end security firm. The real money comes from Serenity Peak Estates, specifically from their founder, Julian Vance. There it was a name. Keep this between us, I told her. You got it, Sheriff. Be careful. The next morning I put on my full uniform, not just the khakis and department polo. If I was walking into the lion's den, I wanted the lion to know he was dealing with the sheriff. The drive into Serenity Peak Estates was like entering another world. Pristine gates, spotless streets, identical mansions, and a creepy, unnatural quiet. Security cameras on every lamppost, no kids, no dogs, just silence. Julian Vance's house sat at the very top, a 3-story limestone fortress. He greeted me himself in a suit that probably cost more than my truck. Charisma oozing handshake like a lizard. Sheriff O'Connell. He smiled. Please come in. His office was all glass and chrome view for miles. He offered me a drink I declined. Let's get to the point, I said. Yesterday, 2 of your men came to my private property. They were armed, they made threats. Vance leaned back, all concern and crocodile tears. Sheriff, I was appalled. My security team can be overzealous. We simply want to ensure development near our borders adheres to environmental standards. A misunderstanding, I assure you. He was trying to frame it as a neighborly spat to make me look small. This isn't about property lines, I said. This is harassment. Notes, vandalism, bogus complaints. It ends now. His eyes hardened, but the smile didn't fade. I'll speak with my team. There will be no more misunderstandings. A promise that felt like a threat. The meeting was over, battle lines drawn. I underestimated him. The counterattack came not with guns, but with paperwork. 2 days later, I was called to the county board. Old Councilman Roberts handed me an anonymous complaint claiming I'd abused my power, harassed private citizens. They're talking ethics investigation, Roberts warned. You know how influential Vance is. Vance was using my own badge against me, trying to bury me in red tape. That night I called Jenna. He's boxing me in. I can't go after him with official channels anymore, not without it looking like retaliation. What do we look for, she asked. I don't know, I admitted, but look at his finances, his corporate filings, anything that doesn't fit. For a week we got nowhere. Vance's empire was a fortress of lawyers and shell companies. Then late one night, Jenna called me, her voice electric. I was looking at it wrong, she said. It's not about surface property. He's buying up mineral rights, deep aquifer water rights, and your father's 40 acres. That's the bullseye. Everything else forms a perfect circle around it. Why? What was under my land? The public surveys were decades old. Nothing special on paper, but the harassment, the security, the money, it all made sense if there was something hidden. I called a private geological surveyor I trusted, told him to scan every inch. The week waiting for that report felt like a lifetime. When it came, I scrolled through charts thinking I'd wasted my time until the final page. Significant subterranean anomaly at coordinates 44.137, negative 110.342. Large hollow structure of artificial origin, depth 75 feet. My father hadn't just built a cabin, he'd built it on top of a secret. Vance was trying to claim a buried kingdom. I thought about calling the FBI, but Vance already had friends in high places. Any move would look like a desperate sheriff going rogue. I was on my own, but I knew one thing about men like Vance: they never expect a fight to come from someone who plays by the rules. That night I made my stand. I boarded up windows, blocked the back door with Dad's desk, checked the old hunting rifle, called Jenna. They're coming for me tonight. Get the tactical team ready, 10 minutes out. Wait for my signal. The nightingale is singing. She pleaded, Don't do this alone. No choice, I said. Darkness fell. At 11:17 p.m. the power died. Phone went dead. They were jamming everything. I heard a twig snap west of the cabin, a diversion. Movement at the porch, another. I waited by the fireplace, rifle ready. A silhouette appeared, pry bar in hand. I fired. The window exploded, the man dropped. Glass and bullets filled the air, professionals storming the cabin, but I knew this ground better than they ever could. It was chaos. Muzzle flashes, bullets thudding into the log walls. I crawled, returned fire. A man breached the kitchen, pistol drawn. I rose, fired, he fell, but I took a bullet to the arm, hot and blinding. Then a car crunched up the drive. Through the broken window, I saw him, Vance, calm, smug, flanked by more muscle. He raised a megaphone. "Give it up, Sheriff. That bunker beneath you, it's a masterpiece of Cold War engineering, the perfect haven for my clients. Die with dignity." While he monologued, I crawled for the encrypted radio. Through pain, I whispered, "The nightingale is singing." Vance barked orders. His men charged the porch. But then sirens. Beautiful, sweet sirens. Red and blue lights through the trees. The SWAT team's voice boomed, "Stone Creek County Sheriff's Department, drop your weapons." Vance's smug look curdled to rage. He was outmaneuvered. Jenna was the first through the door weapon, drawn eyes wide with fear and relief. "Liam," she breathed as medics cut away my sleeve, patched the wound. Vance and his men were cuffed, their bravado gone. By dawn, the FBI had arrived. Lead Agent Harris shook my hand. "You've kicked over one hell of a rock, Sheriff." The scene became a federal black site. My cabin, my father's sanctuary, now a national security crime scene. Over weeks, the FBI unearthed the real secret, the Nightingale's Nest, an underground data haven, a digital vault for the world's powerful. Blackmail, corporate espionage, political corruption. Vance wasn't king, he was warden, and Serenity Peak was just a fortress to hide his treasure. The whole war for my land, just pest control. Eventually, the FBI finished, the yellow tape came down, and the feds drove away, leaving only scars and silence. I swept up the broken glass, hammered boards over bullet holes, burned the ruined furniture. Reclaiming my cabin was an act of defiance, a way to honor my father and what he built. On Sunday, I visited his grave. "You never ran from a fight, Dad." "I almost did. But you built this place as an anchor, not an escape." I called Councilman Roberts. "Put my name on the ballot," I told him. I wasn't done. My fight was just beginning. Vance went to Supermax, his empire in ruins, but peace never really returned. One night, the secure line in my office rang a voice from D.C. Vance was a symptom, not the disease. His clients have long memories. "You're on their radar now, Sheriff." So, yeah, my war for Stone Creek was just getting started. Maybe I won the battle at my father's cabin, but out there in the dark behind doors, I'll never see the real monsters. We're only just waking up. So you tell me, was I right to stand my ground? Was justice served? Or did I just stir up a bigger hornet's nest? Share your thoughts below. Because this story isn't over. Not for me. Not for anyone who believes a man's home should be his sanctuary. And that some fights are worth having, no matter how dark the night gets.